Hey everyone, it's Kate, and today I'm going to make this super fun fanny pack from a Jalle pattern. We're filming on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and if you're watching on YouTube and you want to learn more about sewing and quilting, please subscribe to our channel. February's theme at the Confident Stitch is Independent by Design. Our giveaway are 2 independent patterns of your choice. And the question of the month is, what are your favorite independent pattern companies and which ones do you wish we carried? All you need to do is answer that question in the comments, either on Facebook or YouTube, and we will enter you to win 2 patterns of your choice. Today's confident shout out goes to Lindsey King, who made a really cute Sister Sampler Quilt. It's designed by Anne-Marie Cheney, and we did it as a Block of the Month program back before COVID. So she did a great job. It was her first quilt, and she did a great job on it. It's really cute. All right, so as I said, we're making a fanny pack today, and it's from this Jalie Galaxie 4 pattern. It's accessories for people, for pets and their humans. And it has a bunch of pet accessories, and it has this really cute fanny pack. Can you see that okay, Rachel? And it is a PDF pattern. We don't carry it, but if you go to the Jalle website and search for Galaxie 4, you can download it. And you'll see it's a really cute project. I'm going to be doing a ton of sewing today, so buckle up. We'll be here for a while. So to get started, you're going to need just a 1/4 yard of lining fabric. I'm using, this is a ripstop nylon in silver. We also have it in white, so that's what I'm using for my lining. You need 1/3 yard of your main fabric, and I am using, it's called Effortless Canvas in Wood from the Cotton and Steel line called Feel the Void. You're going to need 2 zippers. The pattern calls for a 9-inch zipper and a 7-inch zipper, but I found just using like a 14 or anything longer than a 9 is easier. You need 1-inch webbing. It calls for 1 3/4 yards, but that's a lot. You don't need quite that much. And then you need a buckle, a 1-inch buckle and slide kit, and we have those on the website. I don't think we have pictures for them, but you can order them. So the pattern comes with 11 pieces. So it's a lot of little pieces. Some are just the outer fabric, some are just the lining, some are both, but it's all clearly marked, and you just need to cut them all out. They're all small, as you can see. And I'm going to show you how to make the whole front of the bag. But then in the other parts, the top of the bag and the back of the bag, I've started the sewing so I don't have to show you every step. But I felt like the front is a good way to see pretty much all the techniques that you're going to use to make this bag. So the first step of this bag is, of course, the hardest step. This is piece N, and oh yeah, I'm supposed to be this way. Sorry. This is piece N, and it is the back of the front pocket. And pieces K and L need to be sewn together, fit on N, and have a zipper installed right here. And so I did a bunch of experimenting to figure out that you need a 1/4 inch seam allowance on the zipper tape, and I'll show you how to do that. So they say if when you sew the zipper on, if these two pieces aren't the same size as end, you have to take out the zipper and keep trying. So it took me a little bit of trial and error. So I'm going to move these other pieces out of the way. So the first step is to take this piece K, and it's the bottom half of the front pocket. And here's your zipper. This is right side up. I'm going to put it right sides together with piece K, and just, I have both ends hanging off. And then if you've watched other videos of mine, you know that I love to use 1/8 inch basting tape when I'm putting zippers on. The first zipper I put on with this project with the tape, it did not go well because just it ended up showing and I had to peel it off and it was a real pain. So I'm going to pin my zipper on and I'm heading over to the sewing machine. So before, when I made my 2 prototypes, I figured out with my zipper foot where the needle needs to be in order to make a 1/4 inch seam. So I have my zipper foot on. I've moved my needle to the left so that when it hits the fabric, it's going to be a 1/4 inch from the zipper tape and the fabric. So here we go. Maybe go back a little bit. I don't always backstitch in this project. Because all the seams are going to be crossed by another seam. So don't freak out if I forget to backstitch, because it's not going to come out. And you'll see as I sewed this, I kind of skip from 2.5 millimeter stitch length to 3, depending on how many layers. So I've got the zipper sewn on, and I am just going to kind of finger press the piece K out of the way. I did a lot of finger pressing with this project because I don't like to press right near a zipper because I don't want to melt the zipper, and then also you don't want to melt the nylon of my lining. If you used a different lining, you might press more. So this is piece L, and I'm going to put it right sides together with the upper edge of the zipper and pin it in place. As long as you have a zipper foot, this is a pretty easy zipper installation, and most machines come with zipper feet. Okay, I'm going back over to the machine and sewing this one at the 1/4 inch. Of course, the fabric's moving around on me, but on my real one, it was fine. This is why I like to use the 1/8 inch tape, because then you don't have to worry about the fabric moving around on you. All right, so I've got the zipper sewn in. I'm going to check to make sure that this top piece I've created fits exactly on piece N, and it does. After you're sure of that, you're going to want to top stitch along these edges, but I am not going to do that today. So now we're going to sew this, kind of baste the side seams together, and there's a lot of that in this project, and it really does make your life easier to baste all the pieces together before you sew the main seams. And before you baste, you want to move your zipper pull. Can you see this okay? You want to move your zipper pull to the center. So, because you're going to be creating new zipper stops. And you want to make sure that the pull doesn't come all the way out, because it has done that on me numerous times. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the machine and show you how I do this. Oops. First, I'm going to take off my zipper foot, put on my regular foot. This project has 2 zippers, and they both go in that same way. The other one has a lining behind it, and I will show you how to do that in a bit. So when you baste 2 layers together in this project, I like to do it inside of and I'm going to back stitch over the zipper teeth so that they're nice and secure. It has a 3/8 inch seam allowance. It's 1 centimeter. And so I like to baste the 2 pieces together inside that seam allowance so that no one will ever see these stitches. And after you close up your zipper, like I've sewn over it, you can just cut it off right at the edge. I'm using my paper scissors that are not the best. Okay, so then this side is a little bit trickier because there's not the zipper is open here, so I'm going to be holding it together when I get to it. Okay. I'm going to back stitch again. Go forward. All right, so everything's basted, and the zipper is not going to open if it has a new stop on it. There's a string stuck in it, but we're not going to worry about it. All right, so back over here. I think the next step is to baste the top, but I'm not going to do that. And now we're going to add the front side pieces. They're piece number M, or piece letter M. So, oops, I forgot to cut this off. There we go. So they look like this. There's a double notch to match up. And you'll know you have it right because the top edge is along this top edge, and then there's a slanted edge at the bottom. Okay, I'm just going to do a little, I'm not going to do a ton of pinning because I want to do this as quickly as possible. So let's go back to the machine, and I'm going to sew these on with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. I love a 3/8 inch seam allowance because it's basically the width of the foot, and it's easy to remember. It's really nice for beginners. A lot of, when I teach beginner sewing, I have them just do a 3/8 inch seam allowance, and they just have to use the the edge of their foot. Getting some more light on the machine. A lot and I'm not doing it because it would take a long time, but it's nice. A lot of the seams in this project are top stitched, which I'm not doing, but I would, if this was real, I would have top stitched the zipper, and then I am going to press these pieces off to the side, and you top stitch them as well, and it just kind of holds everything in a nice crisp way, which is really helpful when you don't want to press on top of the zipper, and also if you're using the ripstop nylon that I am using, that you really don't want to press on top because it'll melt. Okay, so now for something really ingenious. So you can see that by sewing the side seams on, I've created these V's, or darts if you like to make clothes. And you're just going to fold. I'm going to trim a little better. You're just going to fold the side piece down along the V, and on both sides, and you're going to stitch it down. I'm going to get them both ready. I don't know about you, but I like to do as much pinning. I do as much pinning as I can before I have to sew, and then I do as much sewing as I can before I have to press. So I have these two ready. I'm going to go over, and with a 3/8 inch seam allowance, I am going to backstitch because this will get a little bit of, and I'm going to lengthen my stitch length to 3 because it's a little bit thick here. Got quite a few layers of canvas. And we are almost done with the front. I will tell you from experience that now this is the 4th one I'm making, and it's starting to go quickly. The first few took a little while. But it's really fun. I love a well-drafted bag pattern. I am sometimes disappointed with bag patterns, but this one is really nice. All right, so I am actually going to press these little seams I just sewed. I'm going to press them open because it will be more crisp. But the pattern comes with them pre-trimmed, which is really fun. Press this one open. And ta-da! We have the front of the fanny pack all done. This way? Okay, good. So these are the bottom seams I just sewed, and there's the zipper with the zipper lining and the sides, and you can see that it looks like a front. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about making the top, and I'm not going to make it on camera. I have a oven ready version, as Julia Child would say. So I put in the zipper just like I did on the front. I did top stitch it, and then it has 2 little side pieces as well. And once again, when you install the zipper to these 2 pieces, you want to make sure that you're creating a side piece that matches this side piece. And the 1/4 inch seam worked again. So that's my advice for putting in your zippers. The only difference between the front and this top piece is that the top has the lining sewn into it, which is really easy, and I will show you how to do this in just a sec. So that's how you make the top. The next step is making the front lining. So as you noticed, I'm sure, the front, as opposed to the top, doesn't have a lining sewn to it. It's kind of floating. And you're going to make a floating lining to sew to this, which this is another challenging part of the pattern, but it's not impossible at all. So to make the floating lining, you're going to have, this is, I think, piece S, and this is piece R, and you want to sew them together, which is challenging because they are completely different shapes, but it's not impossible. So with piece R, you stay stitch in between these bigger notches, these double notches, and you want to pivot at the corners, and then you make a little snip into the pivot, right to the stitching, but not through the stitching. And then I am just going to show you how to do one of these corners. I'm not going to do them both. I'm not going to sew the whole thing on because I have one that's done that I can show you, but this is a little tricky. So you're going to line up the notch and then line up the seam allowance. They're going to line up the edges. I'm not doing a great job. There we go. And then, oops, I need to get a little, well, let's pretend I'm doing it right. So then you're going to create a right angle. Can you see that okay, Rachel? In the corner so that this side can match up with that bottom edge of piece S. So you're just going to keep matching up. And I'm going to show you how to sew it on the machine and do your little pivot right there. You can see that we get, I'm going to make it a shorter stitch length. I'm going down to just 2.5 regular because it's going to be easier to pivot exactly. You can see that we tend to amass different types of pins on our pin cushions. You at home probably just have one type of pin. We sell so many different types, and they all tend to amass together on the same pin cushion. So I'm getting to the right where my snip is and my right angle with the piece R. So I'm stopping with my needle down, and I'm going to pivot, move that, and then you're just going to make sure that the fabric is out of the way so you're not making a little pleat, and then just keep going. And because you've done the stay stitching at the 3/8 of an inch, you can just kind of follow it all along. So then I would just keep going and do the same thing at the other corner. And I'm just going to show you on the overhead so that is what it's supposed to look like from the wrong side. And then from the right side, it looks kind of like the front, and it creates kind of a floating a floating lining in the front. And after you sew the whole thing, you then put it wrong sides together with the front. So here's the right side of the front, and here's the wrong side, and you baste it along the top and along the bottom, and just to hold it in place until you're ready to sew the whole bag together. Okay, now we are going to be making the back of the bag and sewing the back to the top. So I have for the back of the bag, you cut one piece of your main fabric and then 2 pieces of the lining fabric. And with the lining fabric, you make a little lining pocket. By these 2 pieces started out the same size, but I turned under the top edge of one of them twice at 1/4 inch and hemmed it, and then basted them together along the bottom. And then you can figure out if you want pockets within your pocket and measure what size you want them. I measured 4.5 inches from each edge and drew a line and sewed up from the bottom up to the top. When you sew channels and pockets like this, it's a good idea to go from the bottom to the top, because if you go from the top to the bottom, sometimes you can get a little bubble down there, and this way it'll just lie flat. So that's how you get the lining, the back lining piece ready. And so when I'm going to show you how to sew the back piece to the top piece, and it will also show you how to do a lining like this is. So here's the top. It has one straight edge with no notches on it, and the top of the back piece also has a straight edge with no notches on it. And you're gonna center the back piece on the top piece. And I have little wings hanging out, which I think is fine. I'm going to be lazy and not pin, just for time's sake. And I'm going to go back up to a 3.0 stitch length, just because this is a lot of layers. When I was really making this bag, I did pin at this point because it just makes things come out a little nicer. But I have a oven ready version of this, I think. Oh no, I don't. Haha. I don't know if you guys saw, Maisie did a really funny Instagram story wearing my prototype fanny pack. It was very silly. If you don't follow us on Instagram and Facebook, we share a lot of fun stuff. Everyone who works here is young enough to be my child, so they are really good at the social media. So I've sewn on the top piece, the right side of the top piece to the right side of, the right side of the back to the right side of the top. And then you're just going to flip it over, and I'm going to sew the lining right sides together with the lining piece. So here's the pocket. It goes face down on this piece that's face up. And I do want to make sure that I line up with my previous sewing. So I am going to do a little pinning, at least at the beginning and the end. All right. I have the 3.0 stitch length again. As you can see, you kind of sew each seam a number of times, which is good for stability and also makes back stitching not vital. Here we go. All right. So now you can see that on the lining side, it looks nice and neat. And on the front side, it looks nice and neat. And I'm going to press this on the front side to make it nice and flat. And then actually I do have an oven ready version. So after you sew them both on, I did top stitch here just to hold the back piece away from the top piece. You don't have to. And then I once again basted them together so that they're nice and neat for sewing the front to the back. Okay, so now here is my complete front piece with the lining floating in it. One thing that freaked me out the first time I made this is that this lining is a little bit smaller than the front piece, but I think that is so that you can fit things into your handy little front pocket. So I'm going to take, this is the back and the top. This is the front, and the first seam you want to sew is this top curved seam. And, you know, I'm usually lazy and snip my triangles toward the inside, but I was really saintly and cut them toward the outside on this project, and it has been really helpful because there's a lot of notch matching. So one thing when you're sewing this top one, you want to stop 3/8 of an inch from the edge. And I've marked that on both ends. So the notch on the top piece lines up with the seams on the front piece. Go all the way, you can just follow this curve. I love structural sewing like this, and how someone figured out how to sew two really different pieces of fabric, different size pieces of fabric together to make a box shape. So I'm ready to do my top edge. Okay. Oh, so I have my little mark at the 3/8. I'm going to remember to start and stop there. I'm still on the 3.0, and I'm going to do a couple stitches forward, a couple back, because this will get some stress on it. And all the way around. Oh, I'm a little in from the 3/8. Pretend that's not happening. Here we go. So if you guys, we have a lot of ways of keeping in touch. These videos are just one of them. We have a Facebook community, which I'm really active in, and it's a great way to ask questions and show off what you've made. We also have Instagram and regular Facebook. So, and we have a great newsletter that goes out once a week, and it announces everything that's happening. So if you haven't subscribed to those, you might want to. So I've sewn that, and let's, I have a little, I would redo this, but pretend I don't have pleats, but that's how the front looks. And now I'm going to turn it wrong side out again. And sew the bottom. You never want to, I have not been mentioning, but you never want to sew this little edge at all, because that is where the belt part of the fanny pack will protrude. So it's not going to lie flat because you're making this cool box. So you just want to line up all the edges. And pin them in place. Oh, I'm not perfect here. I will fix this off camera, but I want to show you how to do it. So there we go. Now I'm going to sew this bottom edge. And I don't need to stop and start. Oh, there, it's going back. I don't need to stop and start 3/8 of an inch from the edge. Just go all the way. I can feel some bump in there. I'm gonna think I'm okay. I know this is a lot of steps and I'm doing a lot of sewing, which I don't usually do on these videos, but this is a really fun project. And, you know, if you want to make them for other people, they go, after you've made a couple of them, it goes really pretty fast and it's pretty intuitive. And as I said, it's just a really well drafted pattern, which is what I expect from Jalle. Now this, in real life, I would spend a little time to get this a little bit more right, but this is not real life. The back stitch. Okay. Okay, I'm still not quite ready to turn it right side out. You take your 1-inch webbing and cut an 8-inch piece, and then they say a 55-inch piece, but that just makes for a super long belt. I think it's like Uncle Fester could wear it around his big belly. But for most people, a little bit shorter than 55 is plenty. So while it's still inside out, I'm going to grab this 8-inch piece and I'm putting it through this hole that in the instructions, they tell you over and over, do not sew this closed. So you won't forget because they say it all the time, but I'm pulling it. So here's the short end. I'm going to line it up right here with the fabric. This would be a good spot for a wonder clip, which I did not bring today. And then here's the longer one, and I'm putting it through the other side. They have a picture showing which side to put which one in, which I'm not looking at. I don't know that it super matters, but so there you can see there's the long one, and I'm gonna line it up with these edges and go back to the machine and sew these in. And we are super close to being done. I'm going to show you how to put the buckles on, which I needed Rachel to do a little tutorial for me because, oh, look, my thread broke. Excellent. Uno momento, because I do want to show you how it works. So I was noticing when I was looking back at some of my old videos and realized that some days I'd make videos with hat hair because I walk every day and It's winter time, so today it was 24 degrees and I walked here without a hat on. I felt like my head did get quite cold, but my hair looks really good. And now, of course, I'm making a video where you barely get to see me. But we're almost done. There we go. Go forward again. I did obviously doing a bunch of back stitching with these because they will get some stress. And here's the other end. And I'm a little concerned that I have it too bunched up, but we're going to call it good. All right, now we're going to turn it right side out. And ta-da! So here we are. We have a beautiful fanny pack. It's got a zipper in the front, a zipper on the top. It's lined. You can finish these seams on the inside if you are so inclined. And let me quickly show you how to do the buckles. So on the short one, is this right? You put this, yeah, you're going to put this buckle, this kind of, so there's two pieces to the buckle. I'm putting this piece on the short one. And you just thread it through and you're going to zigzag across this edge to hold it in place. And then on the long edge, and you're going to make sure you're not twisted, which I am not making sure right now because I'm not even going to sew it. You're going to put your slider on, and slide it down a ways, and then you're going to put this guy on. And and then you're going to loosen this fabric or this webbing that's in the slider. Actually, I want to get it farther down so that I have plenty to play with. Okay, so you're going to loosen the fabric or the webbing in the slider. And then you're going to double up inside the slider, which, so I'm going to pull this end through, push it back down. This was the part that I couldn't figure out and Rachel had to show me. So then, and then you're, with this raggedy end, you're going to fold it under and zigzag it in place, and then this will not come out of the slider. And you can adjust it to fit your waist. All right, so we have made a whole fanny pack, and it's super cute. I will be back next Saturday, which is already March 6th. And I'm going to be making, I'm going to have two videos. One, I'm going to make a pillow with our swatch set fabric. And the other, I'm going to make a lap quilt with our swatch set fabric. March's theme is going to be, it's a colorful life. And we will be talking about color theory for both quilts and clothing. But you still have a couple days to answer the February question and win 2 independent patterns of your choice. And the February question is, What are your favorite pattern companies and which ones do you wish we carried? So thanks for watching, everyone. I know that was a lot of sewing, but it was really fun for me. I hope it was fun for you, and happy sewing. Thanks. Bye for now.